Asajj Ventress is back from the dead, but things are a little bit more complicated than they seem. Welcome to Star Wars Uplink. So, episode 9 of The Bad Batch was pretty solid.
Yeah.
The Harbinger, which I think is a pretty fitting title. As we see here, it is setting up everything that we are expecting to get for the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. And again, this is the last season of Bad Batch.
I know. I was thinking about this, that this entire episode, I was like, man, we are setting up some big stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to wrap this up in less than 8 episodes now?
Yes. It's pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. We've got, 7 episodes left, I believe. And they have a lot to get through, in theory. I do wonder if they're going to, if this is going to be the end of the Bad Batch. And as we see in this episode, if Omega wants to fulfill the path of becoming a Jedi, which could be a reality now that we know a little bit more about her past, or kind of her, not really upbringing, but makeup.
Yeah.
Like what she is.
Her genetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, makeup, I guess, is the term.
So, if that's the case, she would have to leave the Bad Batch. Mm-hmm. And that would be the end of the Bad Batch.
Right. The Bad Batch would not be the Bad Batch.
If they all survive.
Yeah.
Because that is under the assumption that they are going to all survive. Mm-hmm. But now let's talk about Asajj Ventress.
Yes.
Fan favorite character, and the Clone Wars had the book spin-off that was an old version of an unused Clone Wars episode with Asajj Ventress, and that killed her off.
Yeah, quite soundly.
Yeah, she died, and then I think she got the full Night Sister burial. Mm-hmm. But something interesting in this episode is towards the end of it, the Bad Batch are asking Asajj, aren't you afraid that the Empire's going to come after you? And she says, I still have some lives left in me. Mm-hmm. And I think that is really fascinating. And it got my theories going. I do wonder, considering she has this past in the dark side aspect of things, trained by Count Dooku, and then kind of went off on her own, fell in love with Jedi.
Yep.
Died, came back. I almost wonder if she was able to achieve the level of force ability that Palpatine was talking about.
Interesting.
In terms of bring those you love back from the dead. Mm-hmm. I do wonder if that force sensitivity paired with the Night Sister blood that she had. Mm-hmm. I do wonder if that is going to be the ultimate way that she survived.
Yeah. I do feel like it is some kind of combination of the Night Sisters and the Force wielding that she has come to understand.
Yeah.
Because she's had such a well-versed time in the Force.
Bounty hunting to actual training by Count Dooku to the Jedi aspect of things to just herself.
Right.
In general.
And dark magical things.
Yeah. So
yeah, she's got a lot under her belt. In a way, I think an easy way out would just be to that wherever she was buried, quote air quotes.
Yeah.
It was just imbued with something that the Night Sisters had left behind. Ventress was a pretty high-standing Night Sister.
Yeah.
So maybe they blessed her with something, and it just kind of
or just use some kind of magic to be perceived as dead without actually being dead.
Right.
I saw this one theory, and it was Asajj Ventress faked her own death to just break up with Quinlan Vos without hurting his feelings.
She needed her autonomy again. Oof. Sorry, Quinlan. You're cool, but apparently not that cool.
Yeah. So, they didn't explain anything when it comes to actually how she survived. And I think that's okay for now.
Yeah.
They've said online in an interview or some kind of statement that they aren't going to go into how she survived in the Bad Batch. There will be other media that does go deeper into why and how she survived.
I wonder how they can claim that. I don't know. It just seems like they tend to be fairly open with the things that they're going to come out with.
Yeah.
So I wonder what kind of media they're thinking. Like, is this just like a comic series, or is this going to be another like continuation of the Bad Batch-esque thing?
It could be Tales of the Jedi.
True.
Like, that would be the perfect place
Yeah.
for this to take place, is Tales of the Jedi, because the whole premise of Tales of the Jedi is filling in the gaps around the Jedi that we know.
True.
Now, using the term Jedi
Yeah.
with Asajj Ventress is a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, that's a big stretch.
But I think the intention's there. I think there is this opportunity for them to explore more of these things in more of a widely viewed media.
Unless they're actually following Quinlan, in which case maybe they like get back together or something, or he comes across her again. Who knows? Who knows?
But I do think it's interesting that they broke open the doorway for Asajj Ventress to return. I think it's interesting to use the character of Asajj Ventress because she is so unlike any Jedi or Sith that has come before.
Yeah, she is.
And really after.
So different. She's got such a wide variety of skills in a way, and just life experience, and she's often failed at so many things.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, she has, but she hasn't. It's mostly a failure in the eyes of the superiors or the people who are like controlling her in a way. So she's got this intense story. So it's a really interesting choice because she herself is kind of an outlaw and kind of this like odd mix of what a clone could be, sort of thing. Like she's kind of following in that Bad Batch-esque role in the Force user scenario. So
and they basically say that, where Asajj Ventress is like, we were all pawns in a war and we all lost. You have no idea what the Empire is capable of, but I do.
She's got some great lines in that
She does.
episode. I'm like, whoo! All right, you tell him, girl.
I mean, she kind of has to. She was on that side of the Empire. She was a big pawn in that war. And not even just of that specific piece of Count Dooku, and also of the Emperor by connection. So there's a lot of these different pieces when we look at what Asajj Ventress can have in the Star Wars galaxy that I think is really interesting to look at. And I think it's a good contrast to see like the potential Omega has and that Asajj currently has. Like Asajj is much more cemented in how she can move through the galaxy, or more like what Omega wants to be.
Do you think Omega wants to be a Jedi? Do you think she'll follow that path? Or is that just what they're kind of throwing at her to make some tension in the group again?
Well, I think she's aware that she's more than just a clone, but she's also aware that she wants her family.
Yeah.
And like that is a key part of her identity. But also her family is being really controlling.
Extremely.
In a way that I think is going to cause further tension down the line.
All her dads.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's this mix here of like, she won't necessarily go that direction with intention, but it might be the path that she ultimately takes.
Yeah.
In one form or the other. I think it's going to be fascinating to see if they ever cover this in the Bad Batch. Because as we've gotten more and more, Omega is like the heart of the show. She is much more of the character. And if you look at it, and it's joked in past episodes of like, she's older than all of the Bad Batch.
True, because she's actually aging normally.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So she has just as much experience living life as they do.
Yeah.
If you look at it from a year's perspective.
Yeah.
And then they have like these differences. So I think it's going to be fascinating to see what they end up going with and what direction they take all of these different pieces.
Yeah. I don't think this is the last time we're seeing Asajj in this.
I don't think so either. I don't know if she'll interact with the Bad Batch again.
Right.
But I think we could definitely see her in some form or fashion later on.
Even just her keeping an eye on them, sort of thing. Like, I feel like she's just going to be a watcher now.
Yeah, which I would love to see that personally.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have that. But let us know in the comments below. And as always, check out our podcast, and may the Force be with you.